Okay, today we are playing a game on Lijiang Tower. We are playing Lucio the entire way through, and there is no SR for today's game because it was a quick play game. We were also on the console today, by the way, so consider yourself forewarned. Now, because we're on Lijiang Tower, though, it doesn't really make that much difference that it's a quick play game, because the rule set doesn't actually change between quick play and competitive, unlike all the other modes. So that's, you know, we got that going for us, which is nice. This is a pretty short video, all the same, you might notice, considering it's 8 minutes total. We're already a minute and a half into the video at the start of the game. So, anyway, I'm not going to worry about the team comp because it's quick play, so it doesn't matter. But before we even start the game, there's something to say. Don't use Amp It Up coming out of spawn. That's an awful call. Holy shit, I can't see what I drew at all right there. God damn. Don't use Amp It Up coming out of the spawn. It is not a good use of company resources. Because Amp It Up is a 12-second cooldown, which is a really fucking long time, and it doesn't really do that much. It gets you there very, very slightly faster, but it costs you a 12-second cooldown to do that, and if you just, like, clash with the enemy team immediately upon arriving, you might not have Amp It Up back up yet, and that's a pretty important cooldown for Lucio, so don't use Amp It Up coming out of the spawn. Unless you're like, it's an overtime and you think you might lose the round, in which case, by all means, speed boost to your heart's content to try and get there, but don't otherwise. So we've decided to just like run on to the objective, which is not typical procedure for Lijiang Tower, because typical procedure is actually to come and fight over this area, over here, because if you just come straight out onto the objective, but the enemy team decides to go up here, if you're down here and they're shooting at you from up there, that's really fucking scary, because you don't really have great cover to use. They've got high ground advantage on you and all that. They got like easy places to retreat to. There's health kits nearby. You gotta go up the ramp to get to them. It's not great, so it's usually a better idea to come and fight over the high ground over here. It's not like huge high ground, but you know, any high ground is still good high ground. Now the enemy team also sort of does the same thing. Reinhardt's mostly by his lonesome. He's entirely by his lonesome, actually. The rest of his team is nowhere to be fucking seen. There they are. They're in that room for some reason. Game is really fucking dark, isn't it? I don't know if that's the video or because of the settings on the console. But, just, it seems very fucking dark, doesn't it, inside this tower? So we have managed to capture the objective, which is cool. Are we the only healer? They have a bastion, that's cool. Are we the only healer? Try not to be in healing aura as much as possible. Lucio is strong because of the speed boost being strong, not because of his healing. This is just the thing in general, is that no support in the game is strong because of their healing. Because if it was purely a healing-related thing, there'd be no reason to pick anyone other than Moira, because Moira has the highest healing output. The reason that support heroes are strong are because of the utility attached to their healing. Lucio's not strong because of his healing, he's strong because of the speed boost, so we want to be in the speed boost as much as is physically possible. Also, don't walk into this Reinhardt while we're shooting at him. There's no reason to do so. Reinhardt's not exactly hard to hit. He's a big boy, and us moving into him only makes it easier for him to hit us, especially since he's a melee range hero, so try not to go closer to him. Try and stay further away. Makes it easier to hit him, but like, because he's closer, but like, he's not exactly hard to hit regardless. So don't need to use Amp It Up here, because the only person we're actually healing is D.Va. She wasn't that hurt, so we could have saved Amp It Up and just like, healed her up ambiently. It wasn't an urgent enough situation to require Amp It Up for that one. Again, Amp It Up's a pretty long cooldown, so we don't want to waste it. Try not to, again, like, press right up against Bridget, because she also wants you to be right next to her. Try not to be going closer to people who want you close to them. So, we're not really moving around a whole lot. We're spending a lot. We do a lot of, like, really slow and meandering movements around the map. And I mean, like, part of it is that, like, unfortunately... Oh, that's like the greatest feeling in the world right there. When you see her start reloading. She's like, no! If she just right-clicked, she would have still killed us, but she didn't, so hooray. I know moving around is harder on console generally, especially for someone like Lucio, where God, we're so low health. Heal yourself. Calm down. There was no need to go quite that far. Everybody's dead. Like, we are walking around at 20 health. I didn't notice that one. The fight's done. That's a bit of an overreaction. Don't do that one. So as I was saying, as I've been interrupted myself like 3 times now. Lucio, like, wall riding is pretty sick for Lucio, but if you can't control your camera as easily, wall running becomes a lot less appealing. So, part of it being, like, console-wise, movement's harder, but we are doing a lot of, like, really slow moving around, and we take, like, very long lines when we're moving around. In general, you want your movements to be as short and sharp as possible, just because they are harder to predict movements, basically. If you just sort of, like, really slowly go all the way over here, really slowly go all the way over there, and just, like, go at somebody, like, really slowly in a straight line, it makes it really easy to shoot you, because you're going in a very predictable pattern. This is why, like, if you're in, like, a duel with somebody precision-based, the best thing you can usually do is just go, like, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, and just, like, spam back and forth. Or, you know, spam left and right if you're on the console, just, like, strafe back and forth really sharply and really quickly. Just because somebody who is going, like, is harder to shoot than somebody who's going, because that's an easier to predict movement than someone who's just like... Now, you can take that too far the other way, because if you spam left and right strafing too much, you don't actually move anywhere, because people who do it too extreme, they just kind of, like, jiggle back and forth in the spot, as if they're having a fucking seizure. And that's not actually making you harder to hit, because you're not functionally moving, so there's, like, a middle ground in there to be struck, basically. But you want to take, like, you want your movement to be as short and sharp as possible, usually, just because, like, really slow and long movements are easier to hit. And in general, we move around the map quite slowly and deliberately. Even right there, just like, we go, like, way further out from the cutter than we need to. Just in general, like, this has achieved nothing. I guess we probably want to, like, knock him off if he tried to lunge across, but that didn't really do anything. But, like, even here, especially against someone like Hanzo, like, we don't need to come any further out than literally just around the corner enough to shoot the gun around, and then we can come back across again. And, which is easier for someone like Lucio, being a projectile hero. It's just very weird to see a Lucio spend basically their entire time on the ground, and I acknowledge that it is just harder to wall ride when you can't look around as freely, but it's just like wall riding makes you so much harder to hit. That's the flip side as well, is that, like, it's harder for them to shoot you if you're wall riding, which is true in general, because most people don't really have it in their muscle memory to, like, somebody jumps and then suddenly they start riding along the wall. It's a very odd movement. It takes longer to get something like that in your muscle memory than somebody who's purely on the ground. So in general, and they usually have to start looking up, which is a harder movement to do, but, like, that just in general makes it harder to shoot Lucio, provided they are wall riding smartly. So if they can't aim at you as well either, then the flip side is, hey, wall riding is even better because it's harder for you to get hit on it. So are we the only healer? We are the only healer, aren't we? I meant to check if we had another healer earlier, but I don't think I ever saw one. So don't do this. Going back to the, like, really long and slow movements, right? Right in front of this bastion, we just go, ooh, ooh. And, like, right in front of a bastion, that's bad in general, but, like, just being out in front of the bastion is bad in general, but then we just go, like, all the way over there, and then all the way back again. We, like, don't even jump, which is also very surprising to not see a Lucio jumping that much, which, to be fair, is also a bad habit, because people who are jumping constantly are more predictable than people who don't jump, usually, because once you jump, you're kind of locked into the arc. You can adjust your momentum ever so slightly, but you're pretty much going to go in the arc of the jump. So if somebody's paying attention, they can just see that you're jumping all the time, and then as soon as they see you jump, well, he's pretty much locked into this movement that he's doing right now, so it's easier to track you. So, you know, jumping constantly is also a bad habit. So Bastion, he's doing shit over here. If you're, like, trying to fight a Bastion, basically, if you don't have a shield or something to stand behind, the best thing you can do is just, like, peek the corner really quickly, take a shot in, then duck behind again so the Bastion can't get that many shots into you. Because just, like, taking 1 or 2 hits from a Bastion isn't the end of the world. Once he starts, like, racking up consecutive hits on you, that's when he's going to chew through you really quickly. So, also, right, so the tank form, you being in healing aura, or us being in healing aura, I don't like saying you in this kind of thing, because saying you sounds so accusatory, doesn't it? You shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, you should be doing this. It just sounds, I don't like saying that. When Bastion's using tank form, we don't want to be in the healing aura. There's a few ultimates that are like this, where the ultimate is so threatening, being in the healing aura doesn't do anything, because he's just gonna fucking kill you before you can out-heal him. Like Bastion tank form, he can one-shot you, right? So being in the healing aura doesn't really do anything. So like Dragon Blade, you can't out-heal Dragon Blade. Tac Visor, can't out-heal Tac Visor. So if one of those ultimates comes up, you want to just change to the speed aura as quickly as possible. Because us trying to heal them won't accomplish anything, but if we make them faster, then it makes it harder to get that. It makes it harder for them to be hit, right? It makes it harder for us to be hit and the rest of our team to be hit, which is better than trying to out-heal something we have no chance of out-healing. So there's, you know, a few ultimates where, like, when people start using them, just, like, change to the speed aura, because the movement speed is going to be a lot more important than, like, Lucio's, like, chip healing, you know? Yeah, we are the only healer on the team, which is super inconvenient. Consider strongly changing off Lucio if you're the only healer on the team, because Lucio's healing output is, like, really bad. It's not as bad as Zenyatta, I think. No, it's not as bad as Zenyatta's, I'm pretty sure. I think once you're healing 3 people, you start to beat Zenyatta in terms of healing for Lucio. I'm not 100% certain on that, though. But, like, Lucio is not very good at healing. Again, don't use Amp It Up coming out of the spawn. I do like the thought to wait for the person to ferry them back, though sometimes it's more important to just kind of get out there. Like, if you're the only healer on the team as Lucio, first off, try not to be, but if you're the only healer on the team as Lucio, it's going to be more often more important just for you to get out there as quickly as possible, because if your team's got no healer, then they aren't going to be winning any fights anytime soon. You see what Reaper just did? Don't use Shadow Step in front of the enemy team, especially when there's a Bastion on the enemy team. This boy, I see the play in his mind, right? He's like, I'm gonna teleport behind Bastion, right? And he's not gonna see it coming. And then I'm going to put both shotguns inside of his core, if you know what I mean, and unload, and he's going to be dead. But, unfortunately, he just ended up looking like a fucking idiot instead. Oh. Feels good. It warms my heart to see. So, the thing that stands out the most is just basically that our movement seems like really awkward during the game. We don't seem particularly comfortable moving around the space. Everything we do is like really slow and deliberate, and like we take these really long lines through the map. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The most important thing for like any video game at all is that you need to be comfortable moving around in the space and controlling your character inside the space. And based off this game, we don't seem super confident moving around the space as Lucio. Everything's really slow and deliberate, whereas if you go and watch, like, any kind of, like, high-level Lucio, they're fucking bouncing all over the fucking place. They're everywhere at all times, simultaneously. Lucio's some sort of, like, quantum rabbit frog thing. Like, he's everywhere and yet he's nowhere at the same time. It's a mystery how he does it. So the thing I would say is just, like, try and get comfortable, like, moving around the space in the, like, get comfortable moving around the space, get comfortable, like, wall riding, at least as best you can on the console, because I imagine that's a lot harder, because we're not really taking advantage of Lucio's unique mobility, because even if you don't want to actually wall ride, just, like, hopping off of the walls to get places faster, because there's, like, the speed boost on the wall and it, like, launches you away from the wall when you jump off of it, just, like, taking advantage of that to get around the map faster is still a part of Lucio. We don't really take advantage of his mobility in any way during this game, and Lucio is good because of the mobility that he has and the mobility he gives to other people, so just try and get used to, like, moving around the space and taking advantage of Lucio's unique mobility options as much as possible. Also, try and be in the speed aura as much as possible, because Lucio's good because of his speed boost, not because of his healing. That's true of all supports. No support is good because of their healing. They're all strong because of the utility attached to them. Zenyatta isn't strong because of his healing, he's strong because he has Discord Orb, and Transcendence negates enemy team ultimates. Anna isn't strong because of her healing, she's strong because Nano Boost makes it really hard to kill somebody. And Sleep Dart and Bio Grenade are very powerful cooldowns. Mercy's not strong because of her healing, she's strong because of the Valkyrie and the damage boost. No hero is strong because of their healing. The one you could say is strong because of their healing is Moira, because she has the highest healing output of all the other heroes by far. When I saw a comparison, she had, like, pretty close to double Anna's potential healing output. Like, Moira does a lot of fucking healing. So, like, but anyway. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us, and I hope you found the video helpful.